What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another post game here on Mets Central. The New York Mets win 8-3 over the Arizona Diamondbacks. By the way, I am sorry in advance if I keep glancing over here. I got the Canes and Devils overtime on, so I'm a little curious what's going on there. But yeah, the New York Mets absolutely annihilate the Diamondbacks. So back-to-back games where the offense shows a little bit more promise. Back-to-back games where the pitching as well, you didn't have to rely on any of the big arms, which is really good to see because of the fact that you're going to need as many of these arms tomorrow with the opener or Waddell potentially pitching. Whoever it is going to be, you're going to need as many arms as possible. So it was great to get some length out of the bullpen. Peterson, I wish he gave a little more length. It looked like he was going to until he got in trouble in the fifth inning. He turned in the most Peterson-like start we've ever seen, and the Mets get the job done. So leave a like if you do enjoy what you are seeing here on Met Central. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, especially for Met fans, and turn on your notifications so you know when we upload or go live here on Met Central. But yeah, a very interesting game to say the least. So in the first inning, Perdomo gets on with a single, and then Corbin Carroll hits into a ground out. Pete Alonso, by the end of the night, might have had like 5 diving plays at first base, similar to that one. So just remember that dive at first base because, again, it happened so much throughout this game. Then Peterson would get the next 2 outs fairly easily to settle things down. Bottom of the first inning, Pete Alonso had a single, but outside of that, the Mets do not contribute at all. The top of the second, again, Pete Alonso with that type of play. 3 groundouts there for David Peterson. We call him results man for a reason, and we are going to talk more about that one as we go throughout the show here. And then in the bottom of the second, Mark Vientos grounds out, Acuna with a single, Alvarez pops out, and with 2 outs, stop sleeping. I want every single one of you to stop sleeping on Ty Two Bags. I want all of you to stop. Am I overrating him? Yeah. Am I over exaggerating? Yes. But Tyrone Taylor, man, clutch hit there, gets an RBI double to make it 1-0. And then Jose Azocar, too, ends up making it 2-0. Really nice to see the bottom of the order contribute for once. And then Francisco Lindor hits that home run to make it 4-0, and they blew the game open, which was really nice to see. Really good to see there. We go to the third inning. There was a double from Perdomo, but outside of that, fairly easy inning for David Peterson. Well, to an extent, because he was allowing a lot of contact there. Then in the bottom of the third, Alonso walks, and I couldn't believe what my eyeballs saw at Citi Field tonight, which is also why I'm going live late, and I apologize. But Starling Marte ends up hitting a home run to make it 6-0. This is what Marte does. And it's not even a joke when I say it. It's just the realities of the situation. Starling Marte just has this knack for disappearing for a week or two. And we all want him gone. And we hate him. Like, I pointed out, too, during that at bat, before he hit the home run, I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen a guy's on base percentage higher than his slugging percentage at this point of the season, at the very least. I don't think I've ever seen that. And neither, by the way, if I want to be clear, were good. His slugging percentage and his on base percentage both below 300 when he went up to bat. Sure enough, he hits a home run. He takes a week off, gets the clutch hit here and there, and then it resets the clock. It is what it is with Starling Marte. But we'll see if that pattern continues here. I would like consistency. Is it going to happen? I'm not counting on it, but again, let's hope that I'm wrong there. But I was very mad when I saw him in the cleanup spot too tonight because I thought Mark Vientos has been swinging the bat well. Why not put Vientos there? And Marte had a better day than Vientos, and say that. Although Vientos was hitting the ball hard at points, so not too mad. He had that ground out after. Acuna gets a single. Alvarez flies out. Acuna steals a bag, and then Tyrone Taylor gets an RBI single to make it 7-0. Azocar gets robbed of a hit in center field. Then we go to the fourth inning. If this doesn't define David Peterson to a T, I don't know what will. So first you have the ground out from Grichuk. I don't know if I've ever seen a 6-5-3 put out on a non-double play. I don't think I've seen that in my life, but Mark Vientos ends up, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but the ball flips over to Lindor. Lindor makes the throw over from pretty much third base to Alonso at first to get the ground out. I could not believe what my eyes saw. And then back to back, Tyrone Taylor makes an unbelievable grab in center field. And I'm just sitting there in the stands laughing because I'm like, you can't make it up with David Peterson, man. And then Francisco Lindor makes a nice play at shortstop to get Suarez the ground out. So I'm sitting here like, this is just David Peterson summed up. Like all the jokes that we make about him being results man and everything, it's true. This is just him to a T. And if it works, I guess, right? But it's unbelievable. We go to the bottom of the fourth inning. After the 2 outs from Lindor and Soto, Pete Alonso with a solo shot to make it 8-0, which was nice to see. Marte grounds out. And then the fifth inning, again, Pete Alonso makes a big play there. And this was a little annoying because then you had the RBI single from Barossa, or double rather, excuse me. And I was so annoyed. And you know what? This is my fault. I will put my hand up because I am a sucker and believe in jinxes. I said in my head going into that inning, you know what? Peterson's pitch count's actually not high. Maybe you could get 6 to 7 innings from him. And unfortunately, those were some famous last words, at least in my head, that I said there, as he could not get through that inning cleanly, at least. He got out of it, but not cleanly. And he had to be pulled out of the game, which Jose Budo, I got to say, credit to him for bouncing back. He allowed a walk. Outside of that, he was as good as we remember from him last year. He needed that type of outing desperately. Kevin Herget comes in, which is not a surprise because we heard Waddell's coming up. So use Herget, use your bullets there, get whatever, and then send him down tomorrow. Get Waddell up here. Fairly simple thought process behind that. He didn't make it easy in the 8th inning. He allowed that run, and then he allowed another run in the 9th inning. But he ends up getting the job done. And you know what? The Mets end up getting the win. I will take that. Absolutely. They didn't get a lot of guys in scoring position tonight, but they just were getting home runs and getting guys in scoring position, which was nice. And you know what? I've complained about this offense not getting enough from the bottom of the lineup and enough home runs. There you go. There you go. They did both things tonight. So very solid day at the office for the Mets. David Peterson, I would have liked a little more volume to help save Budo a little bit maybe. But either way, he did fine. And you know what? He needed an outing like this where he comes into a blowout, even though that's what happened last time. But the difference was he started a clean inning, which was the right thing to do. And I wonder if that's why they didn't let Peterson even get a chance in the 6th inning, because maybe they were like, you know what, we got to give Budo a clean inning here to work with. And if that was a thought process, I can't blame them because I would be scarred after what happened last time out there. And I'd be ripping Mendoza if, that happened. So I was fine with that decision there. And like I said, the lineup, you got production from the bottom of the order. Taylor, Acuna, Azokar. You didn't have Nimmo in the lineup and you didn't have Winker in the lineup. And they look good. So I'm very happy with that. And again, the home runs is what made me the most happy. Peterson didn't get the most swing and miss stuff. Pretty much not at all, honestly. But you know what? He ended up giving a David Peterson outing. And that's just what it is. So yeah. Like I said, leave a like if you haven't already. Subscribe. I'll get to the chat. I'm not gonna be live too long just because I want to watch this overtime here as I keep getting distracted as it's going on here. But I'll read a few comments and then I'm gonna wrap things up here. But let's see. All around great team win on both sides of the ball. Yeah, the defense was unbelievable. And then, yeah, just getting production from every part of the order was huge. Average performance of Peterson on the mound. A lot of runs and good defense. Yes, and at home too. Because at home, they've been cooking. So 21-9 on the year. And yeah, this too, Budo being there without runners on base definitely helped. And I didn't get to bring this up on the podcast because the news broke after that. It looks like Minter might miss the remainder of the season. A lot of news broke after the podcast. Like we found out Nimmo had the flu, which sucked because I was ripping Mendoza in that in the podcast episode for not playing Brandon Nimmo, but it was for valid reasons. Brandon Nimmo had the flu. And then in terms of the Minter injury, yeah, that's a huge blow because I was so excited to see him and Rayleigh in that bullpen. Now you're gonna have to scramble maybe at the deadline. I don't understand the fans saying, well, they should have got Tanner Scott. If it was a hip injury, I would say, okay, fair criticism given the medical history there with AJ Minter and the hip. It's a completely different injury, man. Like things happen. How is Stearns or anyone going to predict this? If it was a hip injury, like I said, fair play. I would listen to the argument, even though again, Tanner Scott is making an absurd amount of money and the Minter signing made sense because of, again, less money. But I can't get behind this whole thing where it's like, oh, well, Stearns, how could he do this with the medicals? It's a different injury. It is raising the question of would the Mets potentially be open to bringing back David Robertson? Because you have to remember, they signed Rayleigh before the Minter injury. Now it's, oh, wow, Jarvis hit the post. Sorry. Uh, but now the question really is arose here where it's like, do you bring David Robertson back? Because he has good reverse splits and it's essentially like having a lefty in the bullpen. So I would personally be a fan if they did that. If Minter's truly going to miss the rest of the season, will they do it? Probably not. I'd be a little surprised. But I also would have been surprised if you told me last week that the Mets were going to bring back Brooks Raley. So stranger things have happened. But anyway, I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Turn on your notifications so you know when we upload or go live here on Met Central. I'll see you guys in the next one.